Hey guys, it is Saturday morning. Saturday morning, it's about like 3 o'clock, August 14th. I want to say a little prayer before this video. I have to talk about this. I have to talk about this. A targeted individual, um, did do violence to somebody, and that somebody lost their lives. And I'm just going to say a prayer before this video. I feel like I have to report this. I have to report on this. We have to talk about it. And we especially have to explain like how this program is creating this death, right? It's targeting people, and then in 0.0001% of situations, 0.0000001% of situations where somebody is remote neural manipulated, targeted, they end up doing violence, to others. So let me start off with a prayer, and okay, in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit, in the name of Jesus Christ, dear Lord, just give me the words to talk about this issue. Please help the family of the postal worker that was killed. Please help the targeted individual um, that was pushed into doing violence. Without this program, this wouldn't have happened. We all know that. Please just open people's eyes to know what's happening, to know these things, these false flags are being created. And please just use this situation to turn any heart of any targeted individual out there that wants to do violence to somebody. Please, please let this inform them that it's a bad idea. Please, please, and that we can beat this program in the right ways. Give us the power to do that. Give us the mental fortitude, and please just open society's eyes, seeing how horrible these situations are. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, in the name of Jesus Christ. Okay, guys, I'm gonna read this article real quick. So, Georgia postal worker shot, killed while working route, suspect in custody. And the suspect is a targeted individual that has a YouTube page. Um, and his name is Steve Grogan. He goes by Steve Grogan, but I guess his full name is Larry Stephen Grogan of Danielsville. So he's in Georgia. Banks County, Georgia. In Georgia, a suspect is in custody after a postal worker was shot and killed while delivering mail Saturday. The Banks County Sheriff's Office says it all started that morning when 59-year-old Asa Jr. Wood was shot to death. Wood was a rural postal worker working his morning route when he was killed. So investigators say that they have a person of interest in custody. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation has identified that person as a 49-year-old Larry Stephen Grogan of Danielsville. Later in the day, deputies came across the car of interest along Highway 51. When they tried to stop the car, police say the driver took off. During a chase, a deputy did a pit maneuver. Like I guess Mr. Grogan was, driving really fast away, and then they hit the back of his car, and he spun out, and he got out, and he started shooting a rifle at the deputy. So, and I'm going to show you some videos from Steve Grogan. Um, he's being tortured. He's being tortured with microwaves. He's being remote neural manipulated. Trying to figure out what was going on, not knowing who was doing it to him, right? And he had a gun, and he had a gun. I don't know why he would have shot a postal worker. Maybe he thought the postal worker was actually involved in his microwave attacks. Maybe the postal worker had a cell phone or something like that, and Steve, like, thought that he was hitting them with microwaves, or maybe he just thought he was gangs. I don't know. I don't know. But as a postal worker, so there's a good chance that he thought that he was at least involved in gang stalking, right? This is a dangerous program where people don't know who's doing it. That it's like I don't know. It's like if somebody's gang stalking, they don't know the whole score and they don't know how this works. They might think that that person gang stalking them is hitting them with microwaves, right? Um, so deputies shot back. They hitting the suspect. Grogan was taken to a nearby hospital for treatment. The two deputies involved weren't injured, the GBI said. So it's like Steve Steve Grogan was injured, is in the hospital. He's probably out of the hospital now and going through all the court procedures and stuff like that. But the postal worker was shot and killed. Right now, investigators are still working to figure out why the postal worker was shot initially. Postal inspector, and like I said, I think at the very least, probably Steve Grogan, thought that, and I didn't know Steve. Somebody told me on my channel. They were like, "Oh, there was another shooting, and it's Steve Grogan." So that's why I'm saying Steve Grogan, the full name. I'm not like saying Steve because I wasn't familiar with him. But I did watch his videos afterwards. There's a problem too. Is like I don't know if Steve Grogan ever saw my videos. I think he saw other targeted individuals' videos and stuff like that. Maybe he saw mine, right? But the problem here, they make it even more dangerous because if you're a targeted individual and you're on social media and you like make targeted individual videos, you kind of look for targeted individual videos. Like YouTube will not send you other people's videos, right? They keep it like it's like it has to be word of mouth. Like other targeted individuals have to tell people about the channels because YouTube's not gonna in the algorithm send you targeted individual videos if you're interested in it. So it works by word of mouth. Maybe occasionally, like there's like a small percentage where you get a targeted individual video, but it's like in any other subject, you'd be getting that subject into your main page, right, in YouTube. And that's a problem because like we don't know. It's like if targeted individuals are getting useful information, if they're just seeing certain information and then they're like, okay, that's how it works. We need to be looking at all information and then making decisions on it. The reason why, and I was going to stay away from this because I don't know Steve Grogan, right? I did know Rachno Nixon, so I really had to speak on that. But we have to talk about these things because and I said this in my last video, um, but I want to make this clear. We're facing asymmetrical warfare, right? So they're hitting us with microwaves, and then they're getting gang stalkers and remote microwaves, and then there are people participating that don't know what they're doing. It's this mess, right? It's this asymmetrical warfare mess that's out of sight, out of mind. And if it looks, it always reminds me of this guy. I went to the racetrack, and not the racetrack with horses, but the store. I went to the racetrack and the convenience store, and it was a gang stalker behind me. He was like loudly talking to the person next to him, and he was like, "Yeah, I make tanks for underground military bases. We drive the tanks through the underground military bases. We do it in this city." Like he was talking about that, an older guy, and he like said really loud. He was like, "Out of sight, out of mind, eh?" And like I looked back, and he just gave me this big like evil, like it's almost his face didn't contort or anything, but it gave me that feeling of just like this guy's freaking evil. Um, that's what they think. That's what all these people, out of sight, out of mind, right? Out of sight, out of mind. So Steve Grogan's being hit with microwaves for however many years. I think he said 7 years, like on one of his videos, because he went back to the place where it started and was accusing the guy like who lived by him, who looked like he really didn't know anything. Maybe he gang stalked him at a certain point in time, but he really looked like he did not know about the microwave weapons. That's why it's like this asymmetrical warfare. You go up against it with regular warfare. That asymmetrical warfare is going to swallow you whole. I said it on the last video, and these incidents, we need to look at them, targeted individuals, because I want to stop anybody from doing this. We got them. We have got them. This f's us. This f's us. And really, I shouldn't even talk about it. We should hide these things away and say these people are not targeted individuals, right? That's not the right thing to do. The truth doesn't hide, and this is because of this program with remote neural manipulation and gang stalking, it caused this horror, it caused this false flag. Stephen Grogan was a victim inside of it that did something very horrible, and this postal worker was another victim inside of this, this torture program that causes this. Because if this torture program did not exist, if remote neural manipulation did not exist, if these contractors were not messing with Stephen Grogan, this would not have happened. This violence would not have happened. It amps Stephen up, right? Like, it amps me up sometimes. I'm not going to do violence to anybody. I want to go on record. It's stupid to do violence because the asymmetrical warfare will swallow you whole. They've cornered the market on violence, and we can actually do this. We're gaining legitimacy to actually hit them where it hurts. You would be better off, and I'm not trying to be flippant. This is a serious situation. This is serious stuff. Sometimes I don't know how to do it, guys. I don't know how to talk about it. I'm just like, I got to just kind of be clinical. I care, obviously, about people losing lives, about us being tortured, about you being tortured, whatever target individuals watching this, I care. But it's like, this is really dark stuff. This is really dark stuff. I need God's help on it. We all need God's help on it. But I prayed about this, and it's like, we need to talk about this so it doesn't happen, right? That's a major thing why I make these videos, so nobody kills themselves or nobody goes out and hurts other people. And at this point, I mean, like, many reasons why I do target individuals, because I'm tortured, because my family's tortured, because because I give a crap, right? People, we all fight this evil because we give a crap, because God puts it in our heart to give a hoot, give a hoot. We give a hoot. I'm losing memory track here. I'm losing my track. Uh, but it's important. It's important to deter these things and to understand, right? We need to understand. You're gonna be better off. You're gonna be better off if you think somebody's hitting you with a weapon. You'd be better off calling DHS fusion centers and then getting routed to the FBI and getting recorded that, hey, my name is this and I'm experiencing Havana syndrome, the Havana Act, helping American victims against neurological attacks. We're there. Things are rolling up. What I would say, and I've been in a situation where I wanted to stand my ground, right? It was in an apartment, and this is how freaky, right? And I had to learn about it more. We have to learn about it more. Don't jump to conclusions. Don't jump to your first instincts. They're messing with our perceptions and how we feel things. They can make it seem like like the beam is coming straight from your neighbors and there's noises over there, but it's like it's oh crap, my attackers. But it's a trick. It's a trick. It's a trick on your brain and your nervous system, right? So we've got to be careful walking through this and just. I pretty much know. Well, I guess I don't. Because I thought before what happened with Arachno Nixon, I was like, nobody who watched my videos would ever do something like this, because then look, okay, so Stephen Grogan shot a postal worker who may have just been gang stalking him, but if he didn't know him from before, he didn't live by him or anything like that, definitely not hitting him with microwaves. So now Stephen Grogan's going to jail forever, right? And maybe his lawyer won't even do the insanity plea or even bring up any of this directed energy weapon stuff. But he's going to be in jail and he's still going to be targeted. And that postal worker had nothing, maybe had nothing to do with it. Maybe he was a gang stalker, but if he was a gang stalker, that's a big waste. If you shoot, you're taking out somebody who doesn't know anything about what they're doing, and they're not the people in power of hurting you. The people that have the power to hurt you, we're gonna have to get them another way, right? Just we've got to understand asymmetrical warfare. They will eat you alive if you're just like one person using regular warfare. Maybe way in the future there will be authoritarian armies built to rebel against everything, and then that's a different story. But right now we're in a circumstance, if nobody go out and do violence to anyone, Proclaim it if you're a target individual. We've got them. We've got them. This, it screws us up. And even if I didn't make a video about it, right? People would know about this, right? People would. It goes throughout the TI, like all the targeted individuals, talk about this stuff. And thank you for the person. I can't remember his name. I'll I can't remember his name, but he was, people were being supportive of Stephen Grogan, not knowing that this horrible thing was going to happen, right? And just trying to be supportive of him. And it's really it's beyond sad because who knows what who knows how badly Stephen Grogan's mind was being turned inside out, because I know that feeling. But I wanted to say this. There was a time, okay, the first apartment where the over torture started at, then 2 months later I moved to another apartment. Then I thought the people above me were hitting me with microwaves, right? And and I could hear V2K, but I didn't know it was V2K. I thought I could just hear them talking. They ended up moving out after a couple of months, maybe like 8 months or something like that. And they moved out, and I was really happy. I was like, it's over, right? It's over, because they were the ones they got the weapons transferred to that apartment. It's when I didn't know how this worked at all, but they left, and then I started feeling it like from the apartments right next to me. And I said in my head, I go, oh man, they gave that dude or that, because there was a lady that lived above and then a guy, and I was like, they gave one of them the weapon systems that hit me from the ground, which is ridiculous. Nowadays, I'd be like, that's ridiculous that these people just left and just gave these people microwaves and they instantly started hitting me. It's ridiculous. They didn't. They were making it feel exactly like those people were hitting me from above, and then after that they were making it feel like the people beside me were hitting me, and it felt like that was what was happening, right? So we have to tread carefully. Neither that, but the point of this story is, I remember sitting there and I was like, I want to stand my ground. This, like, I'm in my apartment right at the beginning. I got to stand my ground. I wasn't thinking about doing any kind of violence or anything like that. I don't think I'm capable. Like, I think that if somebody was attacking me or my family, like in the future, or like, you know, I definitely could do that, but I couldn't like do it if I could find any other way, right? It would be completely defensive. If somebody's like coming at me with an axe, right? Then I could find, then I could definitely defend myself. But I was thinking, I was in that situation. I was like, okay, these people on the side are hitting me. Yeah, I'm gonna stand my ground. And I thought for like 2 weeks, I was like, I'm gonna stand my ground. I'm gonna get these people, and I'm gonna figure out. But then at a certain point, and this was very early on in my targeting. It must have been like a year after my overt targeting, or like a year and a half. And I watched Star Trek First Contact again, when Jean-Luc Picard, it like the ship's gonna is taken over by the Borg, right? And he has to decide to abandon the ship. Eventually, they do take the ship back anyway, but he has to make the decision, right, to abandon the ship because it's just been taken over by the Borg. There's no way to do that, and it hit me, and I was like, I've got to just leave. It's the most courageous thing to do in this situation, because I'm not certain of all the variables, and I'm not certain who's involved. So going and getting in their faces or anything like that. I mean, talking to people is okay. I want to go through that. Um, but I said, I'm going to leave. And that was a courageous thing. If you're in a situation where you think the people right next to you are hitting you with microwave weapons, and I know in this economy, it's like, oh, well, oh, I'm just going to move, right? Um, either get out of there because it's going to be the most courageous, most survival thing, because we're being legitimized, right? This hurts us. This doesn't legitimize us. I want to get out in front of these things and say, this is what happened here. This guy was being hit by microwaves. This program was trying to get him to do bad stuff, hurt somebody. These gang stalkers come out here and mess with people who are being microwave, remote neural manipulated. Mine got lucky, right? My gang stalkers got lucky because I just ignore them and I just do activism, and they're safe. They're safer than me, my gang stalkers. But with this guy, with Mr. Grogan, that mailman could have done something, could have said something, could have had some kind of something he was using for the mail, which Steven thought maybe was hitting him with microwaves. Who knows? Who knows? And they don't like. I mean, and maybe the postal worker was, because postal workers they do the one light cars, the actual. He may have been gang stalking, but he may have just been like, I'm just surveilling the neighborhood, and not known that he could be in danger from somebody that thinks that he's hitting him with microwaves. The program has to be stopped. There's real mental illness to people who are not target individuals. There's real mental illness. This stuff, it's like sometimes it's I don't know what was going on in Stephen Grogan's case, but he had gone to prison, which I think that's where he got targeted. He looked like like we all have depression and stuff like that, so we all have some sort of mental illness. But then the targeting is this concrete thing that's happening that mixes in with anything that the human being is going on other than the targeting, right? It's a real thing that's very, very dangerous. Um, so right now, investigators are still working to figure out why the postal worker was shot. And I'm just trying to stay clinical here, guys. This is a horrible incident, and I know that some of you would be like, "Why are you even talking about this?" I feel like it's important. As a journalist, as an attorney, right? Well, I'm not an attorney, but we need to be a journalist attorney, and we need to be talking before they get it, right? Before people who don't know what happened, they get it and they're like, oh, he said he was some kind of target individual, they're dangerous or whatever. People need to know the full score. Um, so Postal Inspector Kimmy Green said, unfortunately, this time we don't have that information. We haven't interviewed the suspect due to circumstances of us detaining him, so the GBI has been called in and the investigation will be ongoing. I'll show you another article where he says, like, I'll show you what they're saying. They do talk about the targeting. Like, they actually put it that he said that he was being hit by microwaves and things like that, which is bad because we don't want to be seen as violent, and people aren't going to understand. Even if they hear that somebody's being hit with microwaves and that person goes and shoots, if they're not hit with microwaves, they are not going to understand. And then we are going to lose a status of people wanting to help us. They'll be like, these people are monsters. It's why they microwave them, because they kill people. Because people are dumb. They won't put it together in their head like, oh, the person was being microwaved to death. His brain was being messed with, and then this happened. They'll be like, oh, well, that's why they were microwaving, because he had that in him to go, or whatever. People just are stupid. Like, people will make up anything to do mental gymnastics around a problem that they can't fix or do anything about and don't want to, right? And this is a huge problem. This is somebody who may have not been a gang stalker, may have been a gang stalker, this postal worker, but either way, he had no idea the danger he was in. If he had no idea about any of it, he's just an innocent victim, right? And if he was just doing like the regular gang stalking thing, I have postal workers that one light cars, whatever, but they don't know that somebody's being microwaved. They don't know that. They're just surveilling their community. They're just tootling around their community and doing this stuff, right? Doing the gang stalking stuff, but they don't. And I think that these gang stalkers, like, they should be told that they might have like, this person's being microwaved to death, and they're like, I mean, they're sacrificing these people in some of these situations. But like I said, right, my situation, probably all of you guys who are, please, all of you men and women, this ain't the thing to do. Like, you can do something that's going to get you further along than this. They aim to misbehave. I aim to misbehave. But we can't do violence. Our asymmetrical warfare has to be good. It has to be good and peaceful. It has to make us look good, right? I know it's hard when you're being microwaved to death, but just like you remember the calling in the DHS, I mean, that's a small thing, right? But we get our momentum. We call until we find a number to get help from. We put out information. Senators are saying that regular citizens are going to be added to the legislation. We know for a fact that any kind of evidence The investigation into the people that are being hit with remote microwaves, they're going to do medical testing on them. There's going to be whatever it's called, a standardized testing, medical testing of what you have to be targeted by this stuff, and then we can use that. We already have some of that evidence. It's a sure shot. We have to hold on. This stuff's bad. I have to talk about it. I prayed about it. I have to talk about it. Linda's in heaven with her wings going, oh, all right, just do what you want, whatever. It's very important. Like, pray for Stephen, and pray for this postal worker's family. Pray for pray for the police officers too. The thing here, though, okay, I won't. This is going to be kind of long because I need to talk about this. Like, I need to get in front of this and use this so we have more information, right? So that people stumbling upon this understand this stuff is really dangerous. And people need to step in and help because it's putting communities in danger. They're like, oh, we're doing this targeting program, we're introducing morbidity, and we're remote neural manipulating and remote neural monitoring the brain of these people who are dangerous, right? Because they just make that up. And it's going to keep the community safe. The community's getting together, the gang stalkers, and it's making the community tight knit, right? There's blood in the mud, right? Or mud in the blood, or whatever kind of whatever the cultist military believes. Not all the military, because a lot of military people, they're good people. But it's putting communities in danger. It's not only creating a negative, fearful resonance in communities and murdering the targeted individual, torturing them, but it's creating a hotbed for violence. When somebody's desperate, they don't know who's shooting microwaves at them, and these people, their protocols are very, very. It can make your perceptions feel like it's your next door neighbor hitting you. I know I'm going to get crap for that. You're like, oh, he's covering up that it's your neighbor or whatever. No, because I've moved like 6 times, right? I've moved like 6 times. And let me tell you, okay, the deputies involved in the shootout with the suspect will be placed on administratively pending the investigation. Let me go through this, guys. This is such an important thing. And I'm just, we're going to talk seriously here. Let me go to this. I do want to show a little bit. I want to show this first. Because you got the sheriff's department telling telling these magazines, online magazines, or online newspapers. You've got them. You got like the sheriff's department or whoever probably coming in and saying this is what you need to say about this guy, right? And they knew he was targeted, and they cover it up. They covered up that this guy was extrajudicially targeted with remote microwaves and gang stalk. They cover that up after these violent acts occurred, just like in Arachno's situation. You saw the sheriff's department in Arachno's Nixon situation. Excuse me. You saw the sheriff's department handling all of it. Usually there'd be kind of a mixture of people, but the sheriff's department handles it, covers it up. Okay. Oh man. Oh, okay. This. At the very worst, if you think your neighbor's hitting you, like let me give you an example. When I was over here, I was in the condo that now is my mom and dad's. Right, I live in this one across from them, but I was in there and it felt like the dude from above me was just hitting me, and it felt like he was walking around and moving equipment and stuff like that. Right, and so I didn't confront him or anything for a long time, a couple of months, I think. And I was like, go in between, right? This is the time where I was going back and forth. This has to be remote, and they're tricking me. No, it seems like it's really him. Maybe they're hitting me remotely, and he's helping out. Just going back and forth, right? Because the stuff gets confusing. For the smartest people, this stuff is confusing, and we need to take on exactly like, oh, this is happening, right? We've got to be kind of careful. We've got to know that sometimes it's going to be like, oh, I thought this and it's that, because it's like it's new weapons that can really mess with perceptions, really mess with how you feel how something is happening too. So we just got to be really careful on it, guys. This situation, we got to look at it. Steven, he's in jail now. Like he's in jail, he's going to still be targeted, and then it's not good for us. It's not good for all the rest of the targeted individuals, and maybe an innocent man died. Like even if he's a gang, even if that postal worker was a gang stalker, like and he's an innocent guy. A lot of those people are so dumb they think they're being patriotic, and don't. I mean, we don't need to be doing violence if we can bring these people down without violence. But I want to say, okay, so I was in that condo and one day I got fed up with it. It was like he was hit me with something. So I went up there and I knocked on the door, right? And he answered the door and I said, "Listen, there's like a sound coming from the ceiling, and it's like it's kind of moving around, and it's like coming from this over here because it'd be where I was sleeping. It would really feel like he was hitting me." And I said, can I just take a walk through of your apartment? I was like, I know this is weird, but it would just make me feel better if I can just take a walk through and just make sure there's nothing, like you don't have a computer sitting on the floor or something like that, kind of talk like that. And he was like, yeah, sure, come in. So I went in there. There was nothing in there. There were no weapons or anything like that. But it felt like he was hitting me from there, right? I'm trying to remember a lot more about these things and how I went through them, because it was a long time before you can figure things out, because it's like you're not used to dealing with any of this stuff, right? Um, but in the worst case scenario, you can do that, right? Or have a policeman say, I think that they're maybe hitting me with something. Call a policeman out and say, I just want their house checked. I'm not 100%. It's microwave weapons, it's remote, and it feels like it's coming from their house, but I've learned that it could be, hitting me remotely, making me feel like that. You're a police officer. Can you go walk? We need to start pushing on some of those things, but misbehave, push back, civil disobedience, push up against the system, right? We're gaining more legitimacy where we don't need to be afraid to talk to a policeman or the FBI or anybody because of Havana syndrome, right? This was the wrong way to go. This was the worst time to do something like this for Mr. Grogan. The worst time. Trust me, guys. And maybe that's the thing, right? Because we're having these are hitting really close to home for me. Um, Especially with Arachno Nixon, and then this guy, he was bold enough to speak out on YouTube and stuff like that, and I know he's a targeted individual. Maybe they're amping up that to make us look bad, right? And that's why I kind of was like, well, I'm not gonna, I'm just gonna totally ignore this. I'm gonna not ignore it, like not I would know about it, but I was like, we're dealing with stuff like that. The UN video I put out before this, legislation, really big stuff. But I was like, I prayed about it, and it's like, no, 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 because we don't want any more of this stuff happening. So spread this far and wide that Stephen Grogan is in jail still being targeted, and he may have killed an innocent person, right? And then we're all like, we look like maybe we're going to do something violent. The target individuals that just do activism, you're going to hit them so much harder if you kind of push up against the system and talk to senators and do this stuff at this point. In many, activism, protests, everything, push, because we've gained legitimacy, so it's different. When we push now, it's more weight, right? And it's just not, that's not stopping getting better, right? So anybody who has this on, get away. I know that money's tight or whatever. If you just have to get away temporarily for like a couple of days, get away from that place. If you think somebody is hitting you that lives next to you, and you're in a state where you're like, I'm gonna get away from that area. That's the best, most courageous thing you can do. It's the most, it's a braver thing, because I would say that the percentages are not good on those people right next to you being the ones that are hitting. And I've got to be pretty bold. We've gotten the situations right. I'll show you a video of Stephen. Well, I don't think I pulled that video up, but he goes to somebody he lived by when it started, right? And that's how it happened with me. This guy, this ex-military guy who lived by me, I was like, he's got all the weapons, right? I saw like a microwave weapon in the window, And it's like maybe he was hitting me with one ground weapon to supplement and stuff like that, and they were just screwing around with that. But the bulk of it was remote, and they were trying to make me think that it was this guy who had children and a wife in there, right? Thank God on me, right? And then I was like, anything else besides violence, anything else, fine, right? Anything else. We're gonna churn milk into butter, and then churn that butter into gold, and then sell it to little leprechaun. Okay, this isn't really a time for jokes, so video is not a time for jokes. I want to be completely serious with this. We have to deter this. Targeted individuals tell other targeted individuals we're being legitimized. We have more weight to us. You're gonna hurt this program and help yourself more by getting out in front of this and talking this. I'm gonna keep calling DHS, right, and FBI until I get a phone number for us to call. Until I get a phone number for citizens who are being targeted to call and get monetary, same thing, financial, medical, right? Legal assistance too. The government should give us legal assistance to fight this. We need to pull any kind of resources we can from the government because it's their fault, right? If they're not, they may not be directly targeting us, but using the military-industrial complex and contractors, and they know about it, right? We've got to just pull as much resources and then keep building, and then we can get secret civil settlements, right? The people up at the top of the pyramid don't care if they're paying us out tons of money. They just want the data, and they just want to do this. It'll make the country even worse if we want to win a bunch of settlements. So we're headed in this direction. We're headed in this direction. This this I mean it's not going to set us back, right? It's bad for Stephen, and it's bad for that postal worker's family, and that postal worker is horrifying, and it didn't need to happen because I don't know. I don't know who talked to Steven or whatever. It just, we're legitimized. You're going to be better off doing these things that are legitimized, and they're not violently dangerous. You might come up against somebody who calls you crazy or whatever, but we're not going to be put in mental institutions anymore. That's kind of stopping with the Havana Act. That's going to be, you can just say Havana Act. I'm gonna say, and then they're going to be like, the worst thing that they can tell you, any authority figure could tell you, is, oh, you just heard about this and you think that it's happening to you, right? And then you come back at them. But this throwing us into mental institutions and stuff like that can't happen anymore if you just say Havana Act, right? This is a known troublemaker, right? This is from the. I mean, this. Look how weird this is. Okay, murdered Banks County postal worker buried, and that was his family. And I don't know anything about him. I do know that the post office does do standard, like around the clock kind of gang stalking procedures because they're with the Department of Homeland Security fusion centers, right? They're fused in there, but even if they do, they might have no idea. They might just be doing it for supplemental income, right? It's shit. It's shitty. Sorry, excuse my French. It's shitty, but they're not the ones murdering us. They are know nothings, right? To waste your life on that and be put in prison, and not that that postal worker was like a worthless person or anything like that. But I'm saying it's somebody who has no idea of the microwaves and stuff like that, right? I'm not sure about the whole situation, but I know probably 100% that postal worker probably had nothing to do with microwaving Steve, right? But this is right here in this. This is the sheriff's department right here, a known troublemaker who, like, he must have not done anything that bad up till now. I know that he did go to jail or something, and what I'm thinking is Mr. Grogan was probably targeted while he was in jail, and I'm not sure what crime put him in there. But this is the sheriff's department talking to this newspaper. Those familiar with Grogan describe him as a known troublemaker who frequently posted to a Banks County social media page. Listen to this. He also released hundreds of YouTube videos over the years. In his last video posted on August 5th, Grogan claimed he was being microwaved to death by cell towers and said he suffered from electromagnetic torture and ultrasound. He was telling the truth. He was telling the truth. He didn't know exactly who was doing it right, but he was being hit by remote microwaves. Havana syndrome, what these agents, right, are being hit with because they're experimenting on citizens, experimentation and operational, right? They're doing training, research, and development on these weapon systems that surveil and hack into the brain, manipulate neurological attacks, right? But they're very specific, dangerous neurological attacks because depending on how somebody is, it may cause an explosion, right? I've gotten heated during my targeting, but there's never been any chance of me doing any kind of real violence. But one thing I did, this I don't know. I'm not going to talk about like we need our guns as Americans, right? We definitely need our guns as Americans, but you might, if you're a targeted individual who's getting real amped up, like they're amping you up with microwaves to be like, you might want to get rid of your guns. You might just want to be like, I've got to do that because I'm not sure, right? And you might want to find something else that you can defend yourself with if somebody breaks into your home or comes at you, but you may want to take away things from yourself. I don't know. Like, I think that I'm talking to a bunch of people who would never do this, right? Would never do this. Like, there's maybe like a little percentage, right? Um, that could go this way or that. We want it to go the right way, right? Because and so, this is a known troll who frequently posted, so microwaved to death by cell towers and said he suffered from electromagnetic torture and ultrasound. And he was correct. And he was telling the truth. And it led to this, that day they may have been remote neural manipulating him. And he was like, oh my God. And then he got into some kind of altercation with the male guy because he was gang stalking. And then he maybe thought, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what happened. We got to be careful about on the ground stuff. If you're like, oh, it's these people on the ground in their car, you've got to step carefully in that. And I'd say the best thing to do, even if you're like 100% at the most, like go and ask, can you see this? Can I walk through there? Or get a policeman to do it, right? At this point, we can push on those things. Havana Act, Havana Syndrome, experiencing Havana Syndrome. These weapons are like everywhere. We don't know, like if you do, like for me, at this point, I'm certain that it's all remotely hitting me. Like nobody has ground weapons around me. I think maybe at the beginning, like they fooled around with like one ground weapon while I was being hit remotely, but it felt like it was all coming from this guy's place, right? So these things where we're thinking that people are hitting us with microwaves on the ground, it's just these people with cell phones. Tread lightly and just get away from them because that's the best idea. And it's the number one protocol of the remote, your human operators and the automated systems on the integrated directed energy weapon systems with neuro weapons built in is to make you think it's the people around you doing it. Because I've moved 6 times and they try and get that protocol going, like I've been targeted a long time and moved around, right? I think it's a lot hard, and the V2K, right? The V2K modifying its voice from the people next door to these other people, right? So they switched their voices so I would think it was my neighbors. Um, I can't think about what I wanted to say. It's just very dangerous stuff, and we got to grab the bull by the horns and get in front of it, right? I don't want it like I was like, well, I won't talk about it, but people are going to be talking about this, so I want to be talking about it the right way. You see what I'm saying? The truth is not scared of anything. The truth doesn't hide anything. We talk about things the right way. What Stephen Grogan did has nothing to do with me. It has nothing to do with you guys on the level of we're like that, right? We're going to do something violent, but it does have something to do with people being remotely hit with microwaves, and terrible things can happen in that situation the operators, like I was kind of just in my inner voice responding to the V2K, and I was like, "Ooh, don't y'all?" It's like that's mission accomplished, right? That's mission accomplished for this guy, his microwavers, whoever was torturing him and remote neural manipulating him. They were like, "Got him in jail. He killed somebody. That's great. I guarantee you." And they're still gonna target him in jail, right? And they're like, "Yeah, dude, I guarantee you, his attackers are so happy." And I'm not trying to he was going through something terrible. So it's a complicated situation. I'm not just like, oh man, he was so dumb. It's the wrong decision, but I'm just not trying to there are people in his comment sections, calling him a monster and stuff. They don't understand. He felt like he was dying. He was being hit with microwaves and he didn't know who was hitting him. It's a recipe where somebody's going to get hurt if somebody carries firearms. So you can't just look at Stephen Grogan and say Stephen Grogan was a monster. You've got to look at these remote microwaving programs and go, they're microwaving somebody like Stephen Grogan. Why would they be doing that? And look what he did. You can't just say, oh, we can't just deny reality, right? Okay, so in a rambling 56-second video, Grogan also claimed Banks County police officers threatened to murder him. And I think what he was talking about was V2K. Um, so people need to understand that. Like, let's watch that video. Let me pull up that video. And I want to hear this in the comment sections. This is what I mainly want. I guess not mainly. You guys can talk about what you want to talk about. Let's try and be respectful, to everybody in this situation because they're all victims, right? So the family of the postal worker himself, because we're not sure. Like, I'm not sure. I'm like in my head, I'm like he was either completely didn't know about anything about this, or he was like doing his regular gang stalking things. Like these governmental agencies are with DHS fusion centers, and they just do them like clockwork. If you're a targeted individual, you're gonna see a postal worker with one light car or something like that. You're gonna see EMS workers. Like, this sounds insane, right? And I'm talking about this thing, and I can look very crazy or whatever, but I'm not. Like EMS workers that are supposed to help people will vehicularly surveil and come around people who are being microwaved to death while they're driving their cars. Like, it's going too far. Like, this is all gone too far. Like, everybody has to say no. Like, everybody knows it's insanely evil, but it's like everybody kind of just don't talk about it, and we'll just go to our jobs. Like, that, the time for that's done. Time for that's done. I want to show you all this because I think this is where he says, who did he say was gonna murder him? But like I've had that with my V2K where they're like we're gonna kill him tonight or something like that, or we're gonna break in, right? On the V2K, the guy like we're gonna break in 2 days from now, blah blah blah. And some people they take it serious. I mean, like I was at a point with my V2K where it's like, they're just saying it's a psyop, right? It's a psyop. Okay, let me say that clearly. If the V2K says we're gonna break into your house and like it's a psyop, they're trying to get you to freak out, right? Everything on that V2K is like a psyop. Now the microwaves like hurting your brain and your body, that's real deal, right? But anything on V2K, they'll say whatever. They'll say whatever, and it's just all lies. Like, it's all lies because they consider themselves like, oh, we're ghosts in this, right? People think that this guy's mentally ill, and we're sitting here, with the V2K, militaristically psychic driving him. Oh, it's so cool or whatever. We don't. So everything they say is not going to mean anything, right? I guess I've heard targeted individuals say that like, their V2K like will tell them about stuff that's true or something like that. But in the like the threatening to kill, like if they're like we're gonna try and kill you with microwave weapons, I'd take that seriously. But it's not. Is that Steve Grogan's job to be like these people in V2K? It's a communication to my brain and inner ear. They're saying that they're gonna kill me. He's supposed to just figure out. Like, because I don't know how much he's researched or whatever, and people are different in their knowledge bases, right? These people have a line of communication to my brain and inner ear, they sound like military or like law enforcement that are using these microwave weapons, and they're saying they're going to break into my home and kill me. Well, how do you take that? I figured out it's a psyop. A lot of you guys do, but like, I mean, can we blame somebody for not for taking that seriously and keeping a firearm with them? These guys need good lawyers. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not condoning any of these activities. Like, this is not the way to do it. Like, we have got these people. We've got this. Like the microwave thing, the remote microwave thing. It's all coming out. Like the New World Order stuff and the jabs and everything. But we got this one. It's gonna come out, right, and it's gonna help people to understand everything else. It's gonna make a chance here. Um, so, okay, let's play this video. How long? It's like I'm really passionate about stopping this because it's happening. Like as a targeted individual, I've never thought, I've wanted. No, I'm not going to talk about any of that. What I figured out is nonviolence. We're going to get them. It's what I was saying earlier. My team of people microwaving me are having a hell of a time, like a bad time. They're not enjoying this. They look stupid. Like I'm making them look stupid by doing activism and being peaceful. They're not winning. They're upset, right? Stephen Grogan's attackers are having a champagne party, right? So what do we not want to do? We don't want to use regular warfare against asymmetrical warfare. Maybe sometime in the future when they're like authoritative armies and stuff where it's not just one person, it that may have to happen way into the future. But now is not the time for that. So let's listen to Mr. Grogan. This is from Steve Grogan. Steve Grogan knows. I don't know. I'm gonna put the articles, and then y'all can just go look up his YouTube channel. I don't want to put the link to his YouTube channel. I guess it's going to be linked. I guess just talking about it is going to be linked to me, and I don't care. I mean, it's like I'm going to talk about this and talk about how I want to stop this stuff and how nonviolence is the answer because they've cornered the market on violence and Satanism and all this crap. Um, but that's getting out in front of it. You see, like if anybody tries to connect, like, oh, he looked into this, so he may do what Stephen Grogan did, right? They can come look at my video. They can see what I'm talking about, right? That's getting out in front of it. We need to get out in front of this stuff and be like, this guy was targeted with microwaves, and now he's gonna be in prison forever. And there, the two incidents like happening. It's just that they're amping things up because they want us to look like this. We're gaining legitimacy. They want these things to happen, and then put a little line about he thought he was being hit by electromagnetic frequencies and stuff. How come in this situation they put it in the article he thought he was being hit by electromagnetic frequencies, and that's just it's just straight up people would read that article and go, oh, mental illness. But then Havana syndrome, the CIA agents like, I'm getting hit with electromagnetic frequencies, and it's like, oh, the Havana syndrome, we've got to investigate because very important people are being hit. Well, they just threw Steve Grogan in jail. He probably tried to get help a million times and he couldn't get help, right? And then this happened, huh? And then they say in the mainstream article, oh, he said this crazy stuff that he was getting hit with remote microwaves. But then the CIA agents, the embassy workers, we're getting hit by remote microwaves. Well, let us help you. We'll get you some medical testing. You're important people. You work for the government, right? And this guy probably tried to get help a million times. Probably talked to a million policemen, right? It's got to be talked about. Like it's got to be talked about. I'm taking a firmer. I didn't know him, right? So, I'm just going to talk about it clinically. This is very bad. It's just very bad stuff, and we all know that. I just want y'all to know about it. I want non-TIs to know that the vast percentage, 99, no, not yet, 99.999999999 target individuals are peaceful and doing activism, right? But this stuff is bound. It's really, well. I would say it's a surprise that this stuff doesn't happen more, but there's so many shootings where remote microwave weapons and mind control are being used, right? I just got to show you all this. The Nicholas Cruz, they had this video. I think I've told y'all about this, but this is how some of this works. Sometimes it's not a person who's like an agent putting out a video. It's just it goes really well with the narrative, and it's somebody who just was saying something that was completely untrue that they thought was true. But this guy did a video on how Nicholas Cruz was this mastermind who tricked who like went into the investigative room after the shooting, and he tricked the person into thinking he was hearing voices and stuff, but he's really this criminal genius mastermind. And the YouTube video had 44 million views on it. That's the intelligence agencies like boosting up that in the algorithm, that the person just being completely wrong. You know why he had to say that Nicholas Cruz was this mastermind who was faking mental illness? Because they said that he shot like 20 people. And he could, like, if he was mentally ill with V2K, there's no way, right? So they have to build the narrative in their head of what the mainstream news is telling them. And everybody's going like this. I'll do it again. A double-minded. Like, we gotta stop it. It's gonna make even people who are not targeted like insane, like capable of doing really insane things, being double-minded, because serial killers are double-minded. You know.
Hi, my name is Steve Grogan. I've suffered from electromagnetic torture and ultrasound. It's coming from the people who live at 499 Thompson Street, the Banks County police officers that live there. They're torturing me to death. They have a live broadcast where they're broadcasting and torturing the people to death. They made Dennis Elrod's son shoot himself in the head. They tortured him to that point. They're
Okay, so if you think that it's a residence, like, like some targeted individuals, they think it's a certain house that's doing it to them. Call it, go over there and ask I don't know, don't confront people with any kind of violence. I guess I can't say. In theory, if I thought that some people in a certain place were hitting me with weapons, just like I told you all that story, I would first, this would be hard. This would be very hard. It's very embarrassing. And people that gaslight you, right? If they're gaslighting you, it sucks. You know what I would do first? I think what I would do first is I would call the police, the sheriff's department. Call somebody, call the city police or the state police, and say, I think my neighbors, I have Havana syndrome. Like, I'm getting hit with microwave weapons, but I'm not sure if it's all remote. It feels like it's coming from this house. Can y'all just go in there and make sure there's nothing in there, right? And you just do that, and then maybe ask the policeman, say, no, I know a lot of us don't trust, but the thing is, I'm saying there's a better way to push on this stuff, and then to figure out what's really going on, right? Because when it felt like that guy was shooting me in that condo, like straight down. It like really with the V2K, it sounded like he was moving something around. And when I walked through his place, and there was like he had a computer and nothing else, and there was nothing there. Right? Is the V2K really really tricking me? Um, we need to think of better options if you do think it's at a residence near you. I'd say it's not. Like I'd say there's ground weapons and people maybe gang stalking or like using toxins or maybe breaking into your house and stuff like that. But the remote weapons, the integrated weapon systems that are hitting you, they're in some kind of like a military kind of corporate structure, right? Probably in your city or your state, right? And these are some of them are now, many of them are underground, right? There's so much more underground work in the military and in certain contractors and stuff like that. It's ridiculous, and the public knows nothing about it, right? The mainstream media ain't touching it, and they can just go underground. It's like you can't even go to the military base to question them because they're underground. It doesn't even exist, right? This has to be stopped. This kind of like we're God now because we're gonna hide underground, or we're just gonna we're gonna use weapons that people can't see with their naked eye. We're God now. Like, no, no, not gonna. It's not gonna fly.
Tortured me to the point I'm very sick and dying from the microwaves that they used to kill you. Uh,
And
they are
it seems
murdering me
like
with the
he is.
microwaves, and now they're saying that they're going to come kill me in the middle of the night and make it look like a suicide because that's the favorite thing to do. I have a whole
So,
ammo box
so
right here full of SD cards.
so I guess it would be kind of a moot point now, but like in general, if you're saying something about V2K, say the microwave hearing said this, and they're full of crap. Like the people on the V2K are just they'll lie, and then lie to you about, and then try and make you think they're telling the truth and lie, and you can't trust any of it. You can't trust even if the woman's voice is a woman or the man's voice is a man, or if the automated system and AI have been turned on and you're not, and there are no human operators there for that time. I do like I have brain to computer interface, and they're very like it's like urgent to them to get this done or whatever. And I do have human operators, but I don't think that's every situation. It depends on what they're trying to do to your brain, what protocols they're using, what training, research, and development they're doing. Right. I have no doubt he was being hit by microwaves. And look at this. Like, look at this comment. Let's see if I can get down to the comment. Why can't I get the comments? Oh, here it is. Okay. Okay, so this is Brooke Woodall. She probably had, you shot and killed an innocent man. You do not know Dennis, or is his family enough to speak about them in such a manner? Okay, so was Dennis the postal worker? Was Dennis the postal worker? 15, Asa Julius Wood. No, okay, so he's talking about an address that's somebody else. Okay, he's talking about an address that's somebody else, but you do not know Dennis or his family enough to speak about them in such a manner. You're going to prison for crimes that you committed. There is no need to publicly slander the names of others for your mistakes. You will never begin to understand the pain, great loss that his family has endured. Shame on you for saying such things. Enjoy prison. Is that the guy? Because that's a different name. So to this woman, this man, Steve Grogan, was being microwave, was being remote microwave externally, and his brain, he was being neurally attacked with remote neural manipulation. Electromagnetic fields around the brain, directed energy to the brain. They're experimenting on people. In prison, some people will get hooked up to this program, right? So this man was being tortured, and he had voice to skull saying it was going to kill him, right? And so he did something crazy. He did something that wasn't right, but what he was going through was like he felt like he was being murdered because it's microwaves and it's like really amping up the brain for the pain and stuff like that. So like I understand her anger and stuff like that, but she doesn't know the full situation. We've got to stop this program, not stop Steve Grogan, right? Steve Grogan shot somebody because of this program. Steve Grogan would have been fine without the microwaves ripping apart turning his brain inside out. This woman needs to know that, right? She needs to know that postal worker died because somebody was being tortured to death, and it was, you know, I'd say even more than temporary insanity. It is like murdering somebody and torturing them to try and get, and they don't know who's doing it, right? And sometimes the V2K will even be like, oh, it's them, right? Did the V2K like say something like that made him think it was that postal worker? This stuff has to be stopped. It's not stop Steve Grogan, stop microwave torture, stop neuroweapons torture. It causes these incidents where somebody like Steve Grogan did this, right? Enjoy your time for it. So it's like Stephen Grogan's a victim, and the guy who was shot was a victim, and it's all because of this program. But people they're in the shadows, right? And out of sight, out of mind. So they blame Steve Grogan, and they blame the postal worker's death on him, and he's the monster, and he's the scapegoat. You know, I'm telling you, these lawyers need to start like, and I haven't heard anything about Arachnid Nixon. I'm gonna have to call. I think I'm gonna have to call the court. I like didn't see any new news stories, and I was a little bit I was kind of thinking, Ragnar Nixon, he's probably going to just say everything that he's learned about these programs, stuff like that, and then hopefully his lawyer will put that in at least as a temporary insanity thing. And like, I don't want to. These were mistakes. Innocent people lost their lives. I think, even if they were gang stalkers, they weren't horrible. You don't know what they knew, right? It's hard to talk about. It's very hard to talk about. Um, but I'm going to find out what's going on. I just think there's no more news stories on Arachno Nixon because what he said, I think, is probably he's a pretty cognitively intelligent guy. He's a very intelligent guy. What happened was a tragedy, right? What happened in this case was a tragedy. But I think Arachno Nixon like went in like he's probably like, okay, well my life's over, and then he started just telling them about this program, and that's why you don't see any more news articles about what's going on because they would have to say like, well, he said this and he said that, right? And he's probably saying it pretty smart. I don't know. I'm gonna find out what's going on that one. I want to talk about these things so they don't happen anymore. I don't want any target individuals killing themselves. I don't want any target individuals hurting others because like we're being legitimized. We can misbehave, civil disobedience, but do it in a non-violent way, man. They're getting us. They're getting everybody with violence because they're doing asymmetrical warfare that looks natural. You go up against it with just a gun or something, they're like, "Oh, my asymmetrical warfare beats your rock," you know. So LT says this guy's in jail now. He shot a mailman. Unfortunately, the man passed from the gunshot, fled the scene, got caught by police, shot one of the police officers. Officer returned fire, hit him, and he was arrested. Edwin says, yeah, he used to be my coworker. He was always shot out on something. I don't know what that means, but it's just it's very sad. Let me show you this one. Okay, I'm just trying to remain clinical. It's a very awful situation. I didn't know Steven. I wish I did. I wish that but I can just put information out. There's so many people that need help. There's so many people being targeted, millions around the world, and I've had to deal with not going insane. Like, oh, I've got to, you know, you know, David and Goliath thing is good, but you can't save the world. You can't. You can do your best, but some things are just going to happen, right? Um, that's been tough for me. This big, and that's why these things happen, right? That's why these things happen with Mr. Grogan is like, it's so big and people don't see a way out and they're like, well, I'm gonna take an MNFer out, whatever. Don't do that. We're getting close. We're getting close where this will get smaller. The tables will turn and we'll actually like you will actually it's going to flip. It's going to flip. I'm telling y'all. I'm telling y'all. No violence. But this is where he goes out and he talks to somebody from 7 years ago who lived next to him, and he's going to go confront him because he thinks that the guy was hitting him next to him, and then the guy kept hitting him from his house, right? Whenever he moved anywhere else, right? And that's probably not what was happening. And I just want to show you
guys to ride over to where my targeting began and where the perps used to live when all this shit started 7 years ago. They were sneaking from this house, which is right next door to my old house, over to my house, sneaking around the house outside at night and everything else. And so now I'm fixing to ride over there and see if they still live there because it's been like 7 years. And I know they were still there up till a couple of years ago, but I want to see if they're still there now because we're going to be seeking legal action against them, and I want to make sure that I know I'm sending the letters to the right address and that they still live there, so that they get their notice that they're being involved in a lawsuit, being sued or whatever for electronic harassment. So that's where we're going now.
My attack was to make my YouTube system. I just want to show you this guy's reaction. I don't. Maybe this guy gang stalked Steven when he lived around there, but it really seems like he does not. Like he's like, "What do you think I'm doing to you?" Like, and it doesn't seem like gaslighting. It's like there's a certain emotion. There's a certain feeling with it, and in this guy, it just doesn't seem like. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure. But this is why I talk about the neighbor. Be very careful. This is the deal. Like, there are ground weapons. There are. But the way that these weapons, they have a weapons grid, and it's so easy to trick somebody. It's so easy to send a signal to your brain or to hit you like at a certain angle and make you think that it's your neighbors. Why would they give your neighbors a bunch of sophisticated advanced weaponry, right? And I know that neighbors do move in, and maybe some of them do have equipment, but I think at this point, this stuff has been scaled. Like the technologies have been scaled to a certain point where that's not necessary. So it's probably would be used maybe supplementally, occasionally, but not like all the time. You I don't. Tell me what y'all think. This is what I want in the comment section. Um, no, I kind of want to. Earlier, I want to say, this is one thing in the comment section. I want one thing that y'all maybe comment on. Should we even make videos about this? Should we talk about this? I want to hear that from y'all. Should we talk about this? And then the other one I forgot, but that was the one earlier in the comments. Should we talk about this? It's targeted individuals. Should we separate from these, or should we see it as like this is what the program's doing? We're not like this, right? But this is what happens. You know, please tell me in the comments. I'm really interested. I know Linda would just be like, don't even talk about that. But this is how dangerous it is. Like, that's the thing. It's like I don't want to shy away. I'm not showing this to be like, ah ha ha. Now, like I'm making us connected to people who did a dumb thing and shot somebody, right? I'm trying to explain how bad the situation is. This is the kind of stuff that can happen when somebody's brain is being turned inside out and they don't know who's attacking them, right? And it's not it like and I want to say as a very intelligent person, like I think of myself as maybe the most intelligent in dog years human being on the world in the world. Oh man, I forgot what I was gonna say. But I like for years I've been wrong about things. Like I'm pretty smart. Like I'm pretty intuitive about things, but for years I've been off on like how it was happening to me, right? And I had to like learn more. I had to move around, right? Moving around. If you think your neighbor's doing something, I know the economy's bad, but even if you can just get away for a little while and kind of move things around, right? And then I'd say at the very most, don't I'm talking to people who won't do this. I'm talking to people who won't do violence, but I think this was good of Steven to just confront this guy but not do violence, right? Just to talk to him. Just to talk to him, right? But I don't think this guy knew anything about it. It seemed like that to me.
Hi,
Hello.
how's it going?
All right, how about you?
All right. Hey, I know you guys are involved in some electronic targeting, electronic harassment and everything with me. I just want to make sure y'all still lived here.
There ain't nobody doing that to you.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, and I got evidence of it. And
You hang on one second, I'll be right back, okay?
okay.
The way that he said that, like the way that guy said that, there ain't nobody do any. It seemed honest. It seemed honest. And so like I mean I don't know. Tell me what y'all think. Comment on it. It's a horrible situation, but I want to show like his thinking,
I need
like
you
what he
step
was
on off my
thinking.
porch.
And so
All right.
so he's telling me to hold on. So we don't like it. I'm just saying, be careful about these things. Like calling the cops and like filing a complaint and doing all these things. Being a brat, like not a brat, but being a squeaky wheel. We can be a squeaky wheel all the time. We can push and we can push and we can be annoying and say, look, we're being tortured. be assertive, right? But like, you're not going to get anything accomplished with violence. You're going to have a great victory if you do not do violence and you do some incredible activism, getting information out, like like all this stuff, helping other targeted individuals when you can. It's just I'm preaching to the choir. I understand that, but there might be one person out there, right, that kills me. This kills me. There's might be one person out there that's not hearing me, that maybe doesn't think that I know what I'm talking about. That get away from that. Get away if you are ever in a state of mind where you're like, I'm gonna go over to my neighbors and blah blah blah. The violent thing. Get out of there. At that moment, get out of there. Pray to God to give you that when you need that. There might be one person out there, right? And that kills me. This guy doesn't seem like he just really doesn't seem like he knows what Steven's talking
Need you
about.
step on off my porch.
All
So
right.
he's telling him to step off the porch. But this is the deal. This is the deal. If Steven was living around this guy with the remote attacks, they could make it seem like the streams of energy were coming straight from that guy's house. And on the V2K, they could make the voice sound exactly like that guy. And this is the thing, right? In target individuals, not only can they do that, number one protocol. That's the number one protocol. Brian too's been saying it forever. Like I've been saying it forever, but I don't want to offend. Not really offend. I just, there are ground weapons, so I don't want somebody who's like, oh, there's somebody above me dragging around some equipment or something. In their case, I don't know, right? I don't know everything, so I don't want to be like, oh no, there's no ground weapons in every situation, blah blah. But I just want to say, be extra, extra, extra careful, and just, I mean, everybody knows. Everybody, I'm preaching the choir here. There just could just be one person out there that needs to hear. I know what I'm talking about. This is for maybe this one per. I know what I'm effing talking about. Like we're there. We can misbehave, civil disobedience, no violence. Like we're smarter than that. Even if we're not smarter than that, there's cooler stuff that we can do that will grind their gears, throw wrenches in what they're doing, and make your attackers rue the day that they ever learned of your existence. That's for you, endeavors. All right. So I just wanted to see
You'll hang around right here.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna have a deputy come down here and tell you not to be back on my property.
What are you so upset about?
Because the last time I heard anything from you, you had told your wife that you was gonna kill me.
No, I did not.
You said that you were gonna kill the law enforcement officer next door.
No, I did not.
Well, that's what she told somebody.
Well,
That's the reason I'm upset.
There's no
I
reason
poke my head out my door and I see you.
There's no reason to be upset. I never said anything like that.
So he's a law enforcement officer.
It's okay. I can leave. I just
He
want.
would-
I'm gonna give you a criminal trespass warning not to be back here.
Okay. I'll take that as a warning, sir.
Is that Steven's car right there? That truck?
Hang around right there, buddy.
Why is
Fix
that?
I'm gonna make sure I get my warning in on you.
Okay.
It's 497 Thompson Street, Sheriff's Driveway with 499.
I'd say that if he was involved with any weapons
Yeah.
on Steven, when Steven lived over there, he's not at this point. I don't know. Yeah, it's an unknown, because I saw a brown weapon in my neighbor's house. I was supposed to see it.
Hang on
I
a
was
second.
supposed to see it because they knew where I was
What is your
at
full name?
around there. But
Why? Why does it matter?
Because they go, well, give me your ID.
he doesn't even know
I
his
don't know
name.
who you
though.
are.
Like, is that
You
an
know who
act?
I am.
No, I don't.
Then why you down here?
Because I wanted to ask y'all about I had an IP address that led me back to
Who is
here.
y'all that you're wanting to ask?
Just whoever lives at this address about electronic harassment. It came back on.
Electronic harassment.
Yeah.
How about take your hands out of your pockets?
It seems like Does it seem like he's playing dumb?
Go ahead and whip out your ID for me.
I don't know about this situation.
I don't think I got it on me.
So just stay out of the truck for right now.
Seems like the guy doesn't know anything about it. Seems like Steven
He's
was
going
getting,
act crazy.
like, they were making him think that guy was hitting him. Is Steven's son?
Got tag number when you're ready. Robert John Lincoln 7027, RJL 7027. This is Larry Stephen Grogan.
Yeah, I know you guys are involved in some electronic
I ain't
harassment. You're
involved
involved in
in shit.
electronic harassment. You're involved in war crimes, all kind of stuff. I know all about it.
I'm involved in war crimes.
Yeah, electronic harassment with this V2K audio spotlight technology is considered a war crime. Did you know that?
I don't even know what the hell you're talking about.
Well, you'll see me in court.
Hey, how are you doing, buddy?
Good. I'm sorry for any trouble with cause. I get home, I got a lot of homework.
Oh, I understand. I've got the police coming to tell him not to come back on this property, okay?
No problem.
I mean,
It just seems like a police officer would know about electronic harassment, would have heard by now about it. Like, that's playing dumb. Like, that's playing dumb with the Vanna syndrome and everything that's come out about stuff, and law enforcement in particular. I don't know. I think that he's playing dumb a little bit too much. I don't know, but either way, it doesn't matter. No violence done to anybody. I'd say try and investigate things. Try and use the police, right, to like investigate the house of the person. Push on certain things, right, but never violence, because that's just it's gonna just screw everybody over. It's not gonna help you. It's not gonna help you get out of the situation. As a matter of fact, like if you're in prison and you're going through this, you can't get defenses or anything like that. It's going to be much worse, and they're not going to stop. Once you go to prison, it's not like the targeting is going to stop at all. I wonder how many of us, if it did, never mind. I'm not going to go.
I didn't have a problem with it. I was going to leave then. Can I have my ID back?
Huh? Let me give you his date of birth. 9/19/1971.
It's like honestly, like let me
Have you
say
made
honestly.
A report of this suspected stuff to the sheriff's office?
Yeah, I tried to.
Sheriff's office. They always want you to report to the sheriff's office. The sheriff's office handles everything with microwave attacks, with targeted individuals. They always want you to contact the sheriff's department. But honestly, this is in like the whole theme of this, right? And this is the thing. Like I could get in, I don't know. Like the whole thing of this is don't do violence to anybody. They're doing violence to us. We've got to use some asymmetrical warfare. It's gonna hurt them worse. It's gonna hurt them worse. And they're soulless shells. But honestly, I don't know if this guy was involved or not. The way he's talking, the way he's law enforcement, I have no idea. That's the dangerous thing. That's it when you got somebody being hit by microwaves, and then they're like, well, there's ground weapons, right? But then there's also remote torture, and it's trying to drive people into like going and confronting their neighbors. The neighbors are maybe used for gang stalking and stuff like that, so it looks like they're all a part of it. They're putting these neighbors in danger from this stuff. So to honestly say, I don't know if this guy's involved, but this stuff is hella dangerous, right? I'm thinking about making a channel targeting for non-targeted people, so I can just yell at them, because I know I'm talking to like just really smart targeted individuals who know all this stuff already. I feel like I have to talk about this. We have to get in front of this stuff. We're at a certain point. This stuff shouldn't be happening, but mind control, right? Mind control is super dangerous, and it just depends on what kind of situation the person's in. I know I can say for myself, like I will never, ever do any kind of violence to people, because you're not. I mean, because it's wrong first of all, but you're not sure. Like there are some people you're so sure of who's doing it to you, like you need to be careful. You need to just be careful. And we can find out more and we can research, we can get more information, you can defend. But look at the mainstream stuff that's happening in every country with all these agents. And is it their neighbors? You know? I mean that's a pretty good, right? Like this CIA guy in Moscow. Do you think some Russian agents really came in the room next to him and hit him, and then he came all the way back to America? Do you think they're coming to every place around him? The Russian agents came to America and they're still hitting him, right? Right. So we gotta pile up the evidence, kind of what's going on. That's not, and I'm not saying there's no ground weapons though. And I know there will be some comments of like, I know it's my neighbors and stuff like that. Just be very careful. Don't confront them with anything like, get police to uh, to moderate the situation, to get in, like get a policeman. Now would be the time, and I'd say city police or state police. Don't go to the sheriff's department first because you want it on record with the city and the state police first, and then go to the sheriff's department maybe afterwards, and they'll have to produce a report. They can't just, throw it under the rug if city and state police have done it. I'm gonna be going and filing some reports. I'm planning some stuff. No violence, right? I'm making this video to say this isn't the way to go. Think about this idea. You get a body cam, you go into the sheriff's department, you film them, you tell them about Havana syndrome and everything like that, get their reactions on tape, put it out, right? I'm going to be doing some stuff like that. It's going to be terrifying, right? I'm not going to do violence or anything like that, but talking to people about this stuff is just as horrifying. And it's a little more horrifying. No, I'm just joking. No, I'm sorry. Sorry about the jokes, guys, but those types of things, right? Not just that thing, but those types of ideas. Hit them where it hurts. Evidence, seeing what they say. They're backed into a corner now. They have nowhere to go. So there's no need to do violence to gang stalkers or anything like that. It just messes us up at this point. I don't know if this guy, I mean, because he does, law enforcement will get involved with some stuff, and there are a lot of ground weapons that they can use supplementally, so I have no idea.
Tried to contact the sheriff, but he didn't return
No
my call.
violence, though.
Well, normally when people make a report, they call 911, just like I'm doing right now.
Oh, I've done that before, yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't mind, keep your hands out of your pockets for me again.
He's not at it, like, he's not it's not a police stop. Have to keep his
If you
hands-
will, tell 811 miles 10-4. She's trying to call me.
I don't
If you will, do
know.
me a favor. Need you to pull right over here with your vehicle. My wife's fixing to leave, have to go to work.
Not a lot of cars and stuff. He looks
He's going to get a warrant.
For a policeman,
he's going
he
to
looks like he-
the officer to come out here and
pretty
tell me
low.
not to be back over here on his property.
Could have had something, dude. Could have had some ground weapons when he lived over there. That's a terrifying thing. A non-targeted individual should know that.
If you're not
don't
involved
know
in it, maybe you
who's
can help me
involved.
figure out who is involved in it, because it's
Keep your
definitely
hands out of your pockets for me.
And it's
it's
not mental
definitely
illness.
going on electronic harassment. You
There's
don't
no electronic harassment going on, dude.
you don't
I don't
think
know
so?
what the
huh?
hell you're talking
That's what I'd be
about.
saying too. If I was
You'd
in your
have to know.
shoes.
It's
In
law
my shoes.
enforcement.
Yes,
So
You
whose
have to
shoes am
know.
I?
you're involved in it.
Who am I?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I know you're
Then how do
involved
you know
in
I'm
it.
involved in
'Cause I
it?
know this is where it started.
This is where it started. When did it
Uh-huh.
start?
7 years ago, give or take.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm kind of leaning towards this guy doesn't know anything about it, but I'm not sure. Y'all comment below.
Just tell you, keep your hands out of your pockets, dude.
This
I'm
isn't
not down here
peaceful
to cause any
thing. Like,
problems. I just come here
it's
to
Why'd
talk
you
to
come
you.
down
I
here
wish
for?
To
that
talk to you about it, like we're talking.
I think that maybe some people who aren't targeted would see this as like being a pestering, mentally ill person, like, but it's not. He went and confronted this guy with no violence. Like, I hope he didn't have a gun on him at that time or whatever, but it's like, this isn't appropriate. but this is an appropriate situation. We're being murdered. So I would say this is okay. Like going and being like, hey, this started here. Do you know anything about this electronic harassment? And at least it's like reported that you went there and talk to somebody. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is a good situation that would be good for us to like, but we've got to think of some creative things that have nothing to do with violence of any kind. We need to be very badass and do some cool stuff, but none of that having to do with violence.
You know?
We ain't talking, dude. I don't know what the hell you're talking about with this wireless, whatever the hell you're
Yeah,
talking
you know
about.
exactly what I'm talking about.
Whoa. Nobody said wireless anything. He said electronic harassment. The only thing that Stephen Grogan said was electronic harassment. He didn't say wireless. Did y'all hear him say wireless? He didn't say wireless. This guy does know. Wow. Wow.
All I'm telling you is don't come back here ever. Ever.
They love that. Like, that is
Sure are
gaslighting.
nervous.
I am.
Yeah, you're really nervous.
Because when somebody tells me they're going to kill me.
And I ain't never told you I was going to kill you.
You told somebody you was.
No, I never told anybody I was ever going to kill you. You're taking here, you're coming off a hearsay.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh?
Who are you?
This is something in
My
the
name's
past.
Steve
This
Grogan.
is Larry Stephen Grogan, the next door neighbor.
What are you doing here?
I just know he's involved in electronic harassment and targeting. I don't know if you know
so
if you're
get a
aware.
complaint against him, and you need to talk to his boss. Not come to our private residence.
Do you know who my boss is?
No.
The sheriff.
Okay.
Sheriff's Department's really.
Well, I tried to
involved in
contact him
stuff.
several times. He doesn't return my phone call.
Well,
So they
It's
give
so
you the right to come to our
stupid. I feel like a
property?
weenie.
No, I was just wanting to come down here
I
and
feel
talk
like
to
such a weenie, and I'm no, don't do violence. Like, y'all know me, right? Everybody knows my channel. Everybody knows what I say. I should be like, I am like when I talk about this subject, I'm like, no, don't do violence, don't do violence, don't do violence, don't do violence. Because my attackers, I think, even me looking this stuff up, my gang stalking got worse because they lie, and they're not like, oh, he's looking into this because he's trying to stop this. He's a targeted individual and he's trying to help other. They're just like, he looked into this. That guy hurt people. He could hurt people, right? They just lie about it, right? And that's one of the reasons that I'm like, should I even talk about this stuff? But I feel like the good of getting out in front of this and speaking about what it truly is outweighs some of those negative things, right? Especially that one person out there who needs to trust me on this. There's more creative stuff that you can do to get back at this program, and it doesn't have anything to do with violence, and we're going to do it. And everybody's like working their hardest, and we're being legitimized. So hang in there and do whatever you have to do to stay away from any situations where there's going to be any violence, right?
about it. I'm peaceful. I'm being peaceful. I don't have any weapons on me. I'm not trying to hurt anybody. I believe you do. Yeah. I believe you're that kind of
don't like
person.
trespassers.
Yeah. Me neither. Especially people sneaking around on my property, which I have you on film.
you got me on film?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'd like to see that.
You will.
I didn't know about that. I didn't watch the whole thing. I don't know. If they're the sheriff and they were his
You might have
direct
caught Bigfoot on
neighbors,
film. You ain't
I would
caught
say
me
they
on your
probably
Future
were
reference,
hitting
if
him
you
the
have a
ground.
problem, that is who you call. You don't show up at this house. Do you understand me?
But
Yes,
I'd say
ma'am.
but this is what I would say. Like even
always
my
guarantee it'll be a
ex
pleasure.
my ex army neighbor, he would put crap on my property. Like he put like a rusty pipe on my property, I guess, to like say that I was a drug user or something like that. He did a bunch of like I saw him like come into my yard and throw a rusty little pipe in there in my backyard. Like I'd smell toxins in my front yard. The neighbors were involved, right? But then, like once I left that area, like I was like, oh, I wonder if Lynn's still doing the remote stuff to me. But they're after you leave, and they stay in that area, they're not going to be doing it to you. You know, then it's going to be the remote attacks from the integrated directed energy weapon systems, and it's going to be a command center of some kind. Is command center the way to say it's going to be kind of a corporate / military structured building, kind of like somebody said it once, like in the Snowden movie, where he goes to work there. It's going to be something like that, but they're probably going to have like different rooms to be doing this crap. You know.
Yeah, he's
Experience. You understand what that means?
Nope.
Thank you.
Okay, you
Why
can
don't you
find out.
explain it to me?
You can find out.
Explain it to me.
If I know the hard way, I'm good with that too.
Mr. Steve, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. I come down here to talk to this guy about some electronic harassment that's been going on, and
I didn't watch the end of it.
just to see if he still lived here, so I know where to send a letter. Talk to him about electronic harassment that's been going on with me, and I think he's involved in it.
And he complained to people, and he was like, I'm being electronically harassed. I'm being hit with micro. That he never said anything about wireless. He never said the word wireless. That is very weird. That's gaslighting. That seems like that cop. It seems like that cop was like, no, I'm not doing any of that, and then purposefully said like a word that Steve didn't say. Oh, that wireless stuff. Seems like he does now.
Okay.
And that's,
You think that business could wait till like Monday to Friday?
I guess.
I mean, I
Yeah.
wouldn't want you knocking on my front door. I can go ahead and tell you straight up, if it's business that needs to be handled,
It's
it
it's
needs
so
to be
cool.
done in a business setting.
It's so cool how like, you know, as citizens we're being just butchered with fired upon. Like our brains are being like, you know, mapped and messed with, and then these people who some of these people maybe even their brains being messed with too. Who knows? But they're just like, I wouldn't want you coming around either. It's like everybody is just regressing into like, there ain't nothing out of the ordinary or anything new. Like you talking about sci-fi stuff. Like everybody's going like way back to that. Like if there's anything, you know how good that is for a technocratic society that's murdering its citizens. For everybody to just go, I don't know anything about new technology. No, none of that. You know, like that's so horrific. Like when he was saying it, like when he was talking to them, he was I'm being hit with electronic harassment. That's all you need to do. I mean, that's all you need to do. He was saying it perfectly because the stuff gets complicated, and he was just saying I've been being electronically harassed and all this stuff.
Setting, not a home setting.
Okay.
So here's the deal. I'm pretty sure he wants you criminally trespassed.
That's exactly what I.
Okay. Which, listen, you get to go this time. You show back up here, you go to jail.
Okay.
You understand, Steve?
Yeah. Yes,
It's
sir.
that simple. If you got a problem, go to work or go to the office.
I'll try to call the
I'm
sheriff.
gonna go to the sheriff's
to talk to him
department
about
with the body
electronic
cam
harassment.
and file a bunch
Electronic
of
harassment that's been
reports. I'm
going
gonna
on.
start pushing
But
on
you
those
don't come to
things
somebody's house
because
and
we're
do
in a
that. You go to
different
the sheriff's
territory.
office.
I'll try to
and
call.
Like I
the
wish
deputy
I wish
will
this
do a
wouldn't have
report. You
happened
don't-
to Steve. I wish Steve would not have done this because like this is good. Like going and talking to them, whatever, he can't go back there, but he was just going to talk, right? And he's just like making a report and stuff like that. Like I'm gonna start doing some of that stuff. I just wish he would have just gotten away. And definitely, if you're in dire straits, do not. I wouldn't have a gun. Like I'm not saying anything about Americans having guns. I'm saying if you're mostly a male targeted individual and they're enraging you, where you feel like you want to do violence or something, just don't have get rid of your weapon. Give them to family members or something like that. You know, and just put a baseball bat near your door or something. If somebody attacks you or some crap like that, you can defend yourself, but don't have anything where you can be the aggressor. If you look like the aggressor, then you're no longer a victim of gang stalking and microwave weapons. You're just a lunatic who shot people, right? And that's not what we want. It's not what any of us want for Steve, right? But that's how they're pinning him down like that.
Show up at somebody's house.
Well, I didn't know it was a big deal. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not
it's a
here
big
trying
deal.
to hurt anybody. I don't have any weapons on me. I'm
It
harmless.
doesn't matter. You go to the sheriff's office. You don't roll up at somebody's house.
03315
He's off work.
415, repeating 033
My bad.
415. So,
I'm gonna see what the sheriff's department says. Push peacefully and assertively.
Who's gonna call
We're
son.
in a different territory.
Where are you
And
living
if
at
we
now?
this is the
in
deal.
Madison County.
Okay, this is the deal. Like if we if we can show like maybe some of us who can speak about it more clearly, or whatever. Like if we can network that stuff, then people can know how to talk about it and then no violence needs to occur. We can get out of this. It's going to be a long road. I'm not saying that the torture is going to end tomorrow. It's going to take squeaky wheels trying to get help, right, and going down these paths and things changing gradually. With this is one of the things as things change gradually, the contractors are going to like be fearful of more and more liability, so they might back off. The possibility of getting these contractors to actually back off because of UN decrees and United States legislation and things like that, and like if you put yourself out there, your first and last name with your state senator and the sheriff's office and the FBI and everybody, it's like then it's all on file that you've reported that you have Havana syndrome, that you're being hit by like a contractor under, I think that I'm being hit by a contractor under the NSA or CIA, like way down, like you'd have like Boeing or Northrop Grumman, and then like probably another subcontractor, and then another subcontractor, and that other subcontractor like removed how many Kevin Bacon, right? What's that? Six degrees of Kevin Bacon, right? You got the NSA or CIA, but it's like contractor, subcontractor, subcontractor, maybe another subcontractor. So it's like 5 degrees away. They do that on purpose to get it distanced from the intelligence agencies that are putting out the contracts for experimentation, right? And then they get some people. I guess certain law enforcement does do stuff with ground weapons and things like that. Because I had at the beginning, and like I don't know about now, but I know the sheriff's department owns the apartment above me, and a lot of stuff feels like it's going on from there. Nobody's up there, but it's like they're using that space for, I think, transceivers and things so that directed energy can hurt me more in my place, right? I'm not sure. This is the thing. Like, I'm not sure. We're dealing with known unknowns with how all this stuff works, and we've just got to peel back the layers. But once you do violence, it's like it's done. Like nobody's gonna listen to you or anything like that. An innocent person probably lost their lives. I feel very bad for Steven, man, because he was pushing in the right way on this, and he kept going to the sheriff's department and stuff like that. But I understand at the same time how excruciating the torture is, and you feel like this is it. I've been in those periods where I'm like, this is it. Like I've got to do something, right? And then people, when they're like, I got to do something, and I don't know what to do, and I don't know who's hitting me, then the bad thing occurs, right? So everybody who's not a target individual needs to help us. It needs to help us get the word out. It needs to help us contact your senators and say you don't like this happening to citizens. It's putting you in danger and stuff like that. I guess that's all I want to say about this. I just pray for the family of the postal worker. Let's pray for Stephen. Pray for everybody involved in this. But it's this program. If this torture program did not exist and they weren't experimenting on people's brains and just doing it involuntarily without telling the public, the bad stuff wouldn't happen, right? All right, guys, I love y'all. I'll definitely see y'all on the next one. Trying to work up some momentum on putting out videos. Like I heard about this and I was just going to completely ignore it, but I want to get out in front of things. Like we're telling the truth. We're in a different territory. These situations don't need to occur. Like no violent situations need to occur because like there's other avenues. There's other avenues. We're gonna get there, right? Especially use defenses. If you use defenses, you won't. You like I'm always like, oh my god, I got a headache, and I'm real tired and stuff like that. But if I use the defenses vigorously and discipline myself, then it's like, oh, this sucks, but I'm never in that state, which I have been at the beginning of my targeting of like, this is it. I've got to figure out something to do because I'm about to die, right? The defenses work to, at the very least, get you out of that state where you're like, I'm gonna die. I gotta go after the people who are like doing this to me. And I'm telling you, man, it's not gonna be the people who are doing it to you. You know, to that one person out there, it's not gonna be the people who are doing it to you, and you're gonna get screwed over, and I hope there's no person like that out there. This stuff is really bad, and this is stuff is complicated to talk about. So it's like Stephen was going through hell, right? That led to this. Um, so let's read the comments on this. I think some people, this was okay. Like what Stephen did here was okay. Yeah, and people are like, hey, that's a good. Yeah, Hawaii Mike says, why did he say wireless? You said electronic harassment. I think that was gaslighting. You see what I'm saying? So non-target individuals, people are actually doing this to people. They're lying. They're like using ground weapons. They're working with remote attackers and stuff, and then they're just like laughing about it, and it's really dangerous. Like this law enforcement officer could have had something to do with Stephen's gang stalking and microwaving, and then an innocent postal worker lost his life because Stephen was being attacked, right? I don't think at the time this law enforcement officer had anything to do with it, but things switch hands in this when people move, when targets move. The remote stuff I think stays pretty much the same, but I don't even that could maybe switch to a contractor in a different state if you move there, you know. And Jeffrey John Wilson, yeah, he's the guy who let me know about this. Thank you, Jeffrey. In my comments, he let me know about what had happened with Stephen. But he said police are complicit with the program. And I think he's right. I think some of the top people are. Some policemen are introduced into it. I think sheriffs that are Masons are heavily involved, will get involved very easily. But then there are certain state police, and I'd say probably nowadays everybody in the sheriff's department knows about it, but there used to be some probably people at the bottom who didn't know about it. But in the state and city police, there are police officers who really don't know about the technology. I'd say that's like changing, and everybody's pretty much knowing about it now. Um, but I remember running one day, and I was getting targeted in my house, and I went to run, and there was like a K9, a sheriff's K9 unit with all tinted out windows, right? Tinted out windows sitting in the middle, like there's like a 4 lane highway. He's sitting in the middle thing, and I was running, and I got hit in the leg so hard, like in the calf muscle, that I tripped and I fell. And it was like there's no way that like the calf muscle could have hurt that bad if it was just remote, you know. So I think that some of them do have these ground weapons. We got to be really careful. I wanted to talk about this. You know, look at that. It's a mad, 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 mad world. Is that a Mel Brooks movie? I watched Seabiscuit yesterday. Great movie, Seabiscuit. I don't want to get into all that because I'm gonna make a joke about it. Because that guy, what's his name? Toby Maguire. He's so funny. Like I love watching movies with Toby Maguire because he's such like he'll say certain lines and it's funny. Like you laugh at him, but then he's got this kind of quality that's like uh, pretty cool. Like so I enjoy movies with him in it. He's got a really weird face. All right, guys, that's all I wanted to talk about this. And thanks for letting me know about this, guys. I kind of went, I just think we've got to get in front of it and show, and non-targeted individuals need to see this. This guy was being hit with microwaves. He's being tortured, and he didn't know who was doing it to him. I think he had a pretty good idea here. I didn't watch the end of it, and I didn't hear that guy say wireless. So at the beginning, I was like, I don't think that guy had anything to do with it. I think he may have, like when Steven was living over there. But then I think when Steven left, like he kind of got out of that role, right, of doing that. I'm not sure. All right, guys, I just kind of wanted to talk about this. Nobody do violence. Nobody do violence. Like the bet, like my attackers hate their jobs because I'm doing activism. I'm putting out important information. I'm stopping violence, right? I don't want this to happen, right? And if you do that, you're going to gain victories over them. You're going to gain victories over them. In this situation, Steven's attackers are like, mission accomplished. That's what they want to happen to us, right? So, asymmetrical warfare, we cannot go with regular warfare. The asymmetrical warfare is the paper to the rock of regular warfare. And I hope he's doing okay. I'm gonna look up more on Arachno Nixon. I'm just not gonna shy away. things are so serious in our society, not just with targeting with microwave weapons, and we kind of got to pull our britches up and be able to talk about things that maybe were inappropriate, a couple of years before. It's like, don't let's not go there. The world's changing. Evil is evolving. Good must evolve too, right? You have Jesus Christ inside. You got the Holy Spirit inside of you. You know, you got to get that, just get that flared up, and you want to start asking God, how should I help myself and my family and good people, and just resonate it out. Now's the time. Good's got to evolve, and Jesus is going to take you by the hand, and he's going to lift you up where you need to be, no matter what. And it may not seem like it sometimes. It may not seem like it sometimes. Don't let yourself get into a situation where there's any chance of violence. The best thing to do, and I know it's a stupid movie metaphor, but you abandon the Borg when they take over the ship. This stuff is complicated, and they're trying to get you in a net where you do violence to anybody or you act out, and then it's just all on you. So you just get out of there, for a couple of days till you can cool down, come back or whatever. I know the economy's bad. Um, there's better ways. Now, I'm going to be putting out some of those better ways. I'm going to be pushing on those things. I might be taking some risks on losing my channel, or because I don't know. It's like there's so much with these agencies that are murdering us and our families. If we like videotape inside of their building, can we get a 10-year prison sentence, and they're raping and torturing us every day, right? Anarcho-tyrannism. It's like we can't do crap to even record so I've got to find out about all that, because there's harsh laws on citizens doing anything to protect themselves, but the agencies and law enforcement can just trounce our heads, right? All right, guys, I love y'all. Just pray for the family of the post word. Pray for Stephen, and I'll see y'all on the next one. We got better solutions. We got better solutions.